Coming to the end of my second year that I'm choosing to drop out. I'd like to sort of pursue my startup full time. Most 98% of supposed startups fail. The chances are theoretically against me, but I can't imagine not going for it. AI agents have gotten good enough where they can start managing a huge amount of your business workload. You have one agent which can just manage all of it. This past year, I've had close to no life. Every day it's just been like work until I sleep and then I wake up and then I work again.
Today, I'm speaking with Ahmad, an Oxford mathematics student who has decided to leave university and go all in on his startup, Demon AI. Together with his brother, he's building AI agents designed to help small businesses manage everything from customer communication to advertising. We talk about what the product actually does, why he's walking away from traditional Oxford paths, how do people build it from scratch, and the sacrifices behind its early traction. Before we get into Oxford and the decision to leave, let's begin with the startup itself.
So let's move on to your startup idea then. So what is your startup about?
So my startup, what name do I say here? Let's call it the name I'm changing into. So it's going to be called Demon AI.
Demon AI.
Yeah, like demon.
Demon.
Yeah. It's just interesting, I suppose. Basically, it's AI agents for currently small businesses and businesses in general. What has happened in these past few months is AI agents have gotten good enough where they can start managing a huge amount of your business workload. And it's like, for example, creating and managing ads, managing your site, dealing with customers. This is all like mess that AI can handle now. And we basically provide the platform, which is like the centralizing hub, where you have one agent which can just manage all of this.
All your target customers are all like small size firms, right?
Yeah, it seems to be the case that the most value that we can provide, I think there's bigger firms as well, teams and stuff, I think can use it as well. Yeah. But the most value will be sort of these teams of, I'd say, from 1 to 10 people, because you can add all your members into thing. Because then the business is small enough where a huge amount of that the AI can manage all by itself. And there you can get it really helps accelerate really fast because so much of the work can be done by AI. Our product's almost finished, it's close to being polished. We currently do have users, it's around 10,000 a month or something.
10,000 a month.
Around that, so maybe 8,000 a month or something. But we haven't really done any distribution efforts. This is sort of the beginning of the distribution efforts where now we've built the product, let's get it out as fast as we can and grow it really fast, hopefully. But the users that are using it are sort of obsessive. Most of them pay us £1,000 a month because of how much value it's bringing them. And they use it obsessively, almost every day they spend 3 or 4 hours on it. I'm like, wow, how many products do I know which I spend 3 or 4 hours a day on? So that's a good sign. These are relatively good signs that...
I heard from last time that you decided to drop out of Oxford to start your startup. And that's very surprised to me because you're giving up all what you have, you've been spending efforts on, the top grades. And also you also mentioned that you're having scholarship in Oxford.
Yeah, so I guess currently we'll talk about the perks of me being here at Oxford. One of the great things there is I do get quite a large amount of scholarship. So it's the first time in my life I've been given, supposedly thousands of pounds for my living expenses and so forth.
Wow.
And that's actually enabled me to begin sort of the startup initially, because I just didn't have any money, and it allowed the ball to initially get rolling and then revenue to sort of grow from that. And now I've decided, coming to the end of my second year, that I'm choosing to drop out. I'd like to sort of pursue my startup full time. I think this is a rather unique moment in history, and I definitely want to take full advantage of it.
And what makes you want to start your startup immediately right now, by dropping out of Oxford? Because I have other friends studying math, and they are just following the traditional path, applying for quantitative roles, in finance, earning a high wage as soon as you graduate. Yeah, and what makes you have this mental stage of going into startup?
Yeah, I guess so similarly, all my friends right now are doing quant internships and stuff, and that's sort of the path they'd like to pursue. I think I do really know that I want to build something of my own. I feel like that's so much more fulfilling a career to me than doing this. So given the fact that I know that, I'm also getting to a point where I think I've done enough work where anyone who's sort of who knows how to judge a person's ability can tell, okay, this decision roughly makes sense. Enough work has been done here where this should be prioritized. It is a gamble. It's a pretty big gamble because many people will be like, oh, you just don't have a degree or whatever. But I'm sort of, I'm assuming if I finish my degree, it just slows me down a year. I don't think I'm not going to apply for a job. I'm not that interested in working in quants or whatever. Oh. So not right now at least. And I just, so either I do my startup in a year or I do it now. And AI is going to change a lot within this next year. And it's kind of a little bit of, I'd rather be actively working towards it whilst it's changing than like having to catch up a year later. It actually took a lot of convincing. I mean, you have to understand, like my parents are very sort of against the idea because like from them, this was it, right? This is the goal. You get into Oxford, that means good life or whatever they think. And it was, it was a hard amount of convincing, I guess.
But you're convinced by yourself, like 100%? Or...
Yeah. I realized it's the same way, like, if I want to hire somebody right now, and if you've done an Oxford Maths degree, okay, that's a signal that you're competent, but that's just not enough. I won't hire you on the sole fact. I like to say, okay, what have you done? You know, what else have you done other than this? And the sad thing is because the degree is so intensive, nobody else has done anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wouldn't hire you. So why would someone hire me if I did my degree sort of continuously? Like for any job. I think the quants are okay because it's really still a bit technical. But even in the quant space, like getting better at AI agents in quant space would be better. But sure, the quants, like, they have like a structure. But anybody else, you're in a really bad position if all you have is your degree and you're applying. I mean, we can see the job market so bad right now. Everyone's applying with just degrees. Like you need to be doing other stuff. And I guess, at a point, I'm like, I know I'm good enough at the startup. Anyone smart will understand that this is like makes sense and I should be pursuing this. Yeah. I'm like, I just don't need to prove myself. Like the signal's strong enough, so I can drop out.
And how did you convince your parents?
Oh, that was hard. I'm not sure how convinced they are even right now. I think I had to convey them, like, at a point they've just got to trust me. Like I've managed to get myself this far so far. I probably know what I'm doing.
And also your brother is into this too.
Yeah, and it helps the fact that my brother is also like with me. So it's like, okay, if they're both deciding this, then they probably roughly know. Because they have no idea. They're like immigrants. They have no idea how the job market or anything works. All they know is like university and Oxford and so forth. Yeah.
And your brother is also working on this project full time?
Yes. This is like, it's such a good opportunity here that like we have to go all in. And spend all our time.
Where were he before? Is it working?
Yeah, so he he was a part of the machine learning team at TikTok, like the recommendation algorithm. He would work on that, and then he did a little startup before this called Silicon Soul, and then at the same time I sort of started getting into startups as well, and both decided to like do it full time. And then.
So how many percentage that you think you will be in your startup?
I think they say most 98% of supposed startups fail. So the probability I still think is quite low, like just the chances are theoretically against me, but I can't imagine not going for it. Even though the chances are really low, like if I don't go for it, then constantly over these next 2 years, I'm like, I wish I went for it. I wish I just spent full time going for it. And so, even if I fail, I think I'm most likely probably going to, like the probability says that I obviously think I'm going to succeed, but in probability, I probably will fail, But I think it's like still more useful. Like I think it's perfectly okay to fail. Like the skills I'll still learn to do that. It's so much more valuable. Like I become such a more valuable sort of member of the working society if I have all these skills from my startup. Even if I fail, because you learn so much, than I would have done pursuing my degree further.
Okay, so can you briefly tell me your like growing background? Yeah.
So I was born in London, and then at about year 5, my family moved to Pakistan, where I guess I was living alone with my dad actually. And I spent the following sort of 5 or 6 years growing up in Pakistan, and we had like a farm with like many cows and horses and stuff, and it was a very different life from the one I'm living right now. It was interesting because actually it was the first time where Pakistan's obviously society is a lot poorer than the UK, but the students work a lot harder. I remember going to school in Pakistan, and the students would work a lot harder than the British students. And this is up to GCSEs. I mean, admittedly, the education process is a lot of memorization, and that doesn't help long term. But at least to GCSEs, memorization is basically most of it. Yeah. And it was so surprising to me, like, wow, these people in UK who are so much more privileged are not working nearly as hard or anything as the students in Pakistan. I was like, yeah, that was surprising. I remember when coming back, and I was like, this is so easy in comparison to my time here in Pakistan. Sadly, memorization is the wrong skills. They don't help once you get into A levels and university. Like memorizing can only really get you so far, and they haven't figured out how to do that. But they do work hard, and presume similar like in China, like those students work so much harder than.
But it still gives us a strong background, I think.
Yeah, I think one, that, and two, just growing up quite poor has put in like a relatively strong like work ethic that you've been given this relatively fortunate opportunity of being born here, which is like a pretty good lottery. Like you should work hard to make the most of it.
So I'm very interested with your was your experience before Oxford. So how did you get into Oxford?
Yeah, I guess so. I grew up generally in London, and from there, my sort of sixth form was called King's Maths School. So it's like hyper specialized at getting kids really good at maths. And I then sort of applied to Lincoln College and chose to study maths there. I did really well in the entrance exams. I think, on one of them I got 100%, and then the interviews did pretty well in, so I got admitted here, and yeah, pursued my degree.
And I think you're the first ranked in your college, right?
So the first examinations we sat, I currently rank first out of all the Lincoln students, at least.
Do you consider yourself as a really hardworking student in the middle school, also in the high school?
Oh, not at all. I think the first time I worked hard in my life was for Oxford entrance exams. That was like the first time, like, okay, let's actually like try really hard. And it was the first time I spent like months preparing for something. Yeah.
So entering Oxford, is it like a surprise for you?
It wasn't a surprise, but growing up, it was definitely like the goal. It was I guess family are poor immigrant parents who came here with like a dream, like, okay, my children should probably go to Oxford. And they set a very clear expectation, like, okay, we immigrated here and, gave up whatever the previous lives are. And so the goal was always to get into Oxford. I worked pretty hard. It was like expected to get in, like I should have gotten, I put in the work for it, yeah.
And when did you start to having like this kind of idea that you want to build something by yourself, like to have a startup? And what action did you do like in the past?
Yeah, so this is actually really interesting. At least in the UK, the culture is very against startup.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's really saddening, honestly. The fact that we're currently in Oxford, some of the smartest people in the world are here, and their best ambition is to go work at Jane Street or sort of like a finance. I'm like, wow, this is the best sort of ambition you guys can come up with. Like you've worked so hard to get here. You're clearly so incredible. And you want to get a job and like working at some quant thing for the rest of your lives. I guess always I've generally just been the thought of building something of your own, which is like far more meaningful, has been far more appealing. Yeah. I think I really started to focus into startup ever since sort of the AI boom. And the AI boom, what it's done is like, it's a really good time to build. So it's like for the past sort of 5 years, I've directed most of my sort of background work to be building up my skills in the startup world.
So did you start building anything in your like before undergrad?
Oh yeah. I've built so much. There's like I guess almost anyone who's sort of pursuing this, like building projects is like the cool thing. I think I started off in game development. I built and published a few games. I remember the the VR headset. Like I was waiting for the Apple VR headset to come out. Yeah. I was like, oh, this could be really good. And if I can build a good game for the Apple VR headset and it gets really big, I can probably make like a lot of money. It ends up being that the Apple headset was really bad and nobody really used it that much. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that was a wasted amount of effort. And then I moved on to consumer apps. So, like iPhone apps basically. Yeah. And that was my first sort of encounter with money. So my first app was a religious app for Muslims basically. And that generated, I think I made around like 14,000 within like the first 2 months. And but the margins were good and it was really competitive. And I was like, the reason I moved off of that was like, okay, anybody in today's day and age with AI can build this quite easily. Yeah. And I don't want to spend the next 5 years constantly competing with all these people that can join. I'd rather do something that's a lot harder to mimic and a lot more meaningful. So that's why I've moved on now to this sort of agentic for small businesses.
So how long have you spent doing this?
Like coding?
Yeah, coding. Because from my understanding, it's very difficult to start building these kind of projects without a technical background.
I started in coding pretty young, I'd say. I think around year 9, I built chess for the first time on coding. It was just like a 2x2 matrix or whatever. That was sort of my first ever project. I've been building projects for like a really long time. And I've been trying to get my friends so hard to tell them to build like projects and stuff, because like on your CV, it's a much easier way to tell a person's ability on what projects they build than like a degree. Nobody listens. Nobody ever builds anything. But yeah, it's been like many years of in coding world. Yeah.
Okay. So when I would like to ask about the time frame. So when did you first start have the idea, and then you decided that you're gonna go all in, and then also when did you like involve your brother in, and also when did you start like launching the platform?
So I mean, I was pretty all in on startups in general, basically this year. So from about I'd say July last year, I basically like 100% of my time has been spent on startups. And in January, I think with open close release, it was like, okay, this is a really good time. This has been this sort of breakthrough that has occurred, a rather big breakthrough. Let's just go all in. because it's a bigger idea. And actually, I think a lot of companies that were trying to do agent structure before OpenClaw are in a very hard position right now because they spend about maybe 6 months working on a product, and now there's just a better version, and it's really hard to pivot. It's like, because right now, like to make changes on that deep level, it's really hard, and it's basically like all those companies are going to have to be like, okay, I know we spent 6 months and a whole team, we're going to have to scrap everything we've done and move to this, and nobody really does that. So I think anyone who sort of tried building this agentic structure before Hermes and OpenClaw releases, they're in a kind of bad spot. And it's going to take a lot of courage from them to just be like, scrap this and to build on top of that. But very few people probably do that.
So everyone is like at the same starting line after the OpenClaw release.
Yeah. Because OpenClaw is pretty big on the agentic jump. You can probably integrate a lot of the features of OpenClaw into yours, but that's like, it gets very clunky and very messy and very unclean. So yeah, everyone, it's kind of like when ChatGPT released, everyone was sort of at the same starting place. It's sort of like that with the agentic structure.
So you had the idea before OpenClaw released and it got released. So you're really lucky at the time point.
Yeah, I think it was sort of a mixture of two. We saw these agents and we're like, what could these agents be really good and used for? Yeah. And we just saw like a huge amount of the businesses, like small businesses can be run on with a lot of agents. And what we did is for a lot of our previous stuff, like consumer apps, we were using our own project a lot because we talk to it like constantly to keep track of what our product timeline is. Even right now, we still use it basically every day. But it keeps track of, okay, there's a deadline today. For example, today it told me that I have an interview at whatever time.
Yeah.
And it keeps tracking it, writes out emails. And we're like, okay, well, if we're using this so much for this use case, surely other people will find value in it. And then, we sort of pivoted to that direction.
What makes you to have this idea at the very start? And is there any like past startup ideas that you had?
Oh, yeah. There's been... Anyone who's doing startups will know that there's a lot of trial and error. Like we've tried a lot. So let's see. So initially it was consumer apps. That was like the first one with some success. But then I realized it was the margins weren't so amazing and the ability for growth and competition was too much. So moved on from that. Then one idea was AI video was starting to get really good. So we're like, okay, imagine we have like a huge farm of about 100 phones and they would create ads for your business and post them on TikTok and stuff for you. And that was like, because AI video generation was just getting to the point where you can do that. So you can mass advertise basically on these platforms. But then the video generation didn't get good enough, quick enough to really pursue that idea. And at the same time, this sort of agentic thing was popping. OpenClaw like boomed, and we're like, wow, this is such a better sort of system to do things. Yeah. And we use it. And now a lot of the old startup ideas we're sort of bringing back in. So the video generation stuff, like now our new sort of container can like make ads and stuff for you and post it for you. So yeah.
And how many members are doing the startup with you?
Yeah, so currently it's two of us. It's me and my brother. We've decided it's actually really hard to find co-founders, especially in the UK. To find someone, like right now, I couldn't actually find another co-founder amongst the peer because they haven't done enough work towards that direction, and I've done now too much where it's sort of like a ungappable gap, and it's people are motivated and they're not ambitious enough to really pursue it, and you do have to basically give up your life. This past year I've had close to no life. Every day it's just been like work until I sleep, and then I wake up and then I work again.
Wow.
But that's like the sort of sacrifice you have to make, and most people, and fair enough, okay, it is. I wouldn't recommend everyone doing it because it's really hard and you have to give up a lot to do it. Like I haven't seen my friends in so many months. But yeah.
And you were talking about you're building this Demon AI like for over days and days. So what part are you working it on? Like, did you and your brother work like build it from scratch, like from the coding part? And how do you get all those skills?
Yeah, so we're both highly technical. We're both like Oxford maths and have been coding basically most of our lives. Yeah, I mean, to do the startup, most of it was just building it from scratch initially. Thankfully, AI has the ability to build has become so much easier with AI and Claude Code and tools like that, such that like before AI, building this would have been really hard. Like it would have taken a large amount of team, like a team of 20, about like 6 months to build or something. And this time it was a team of 2 and it took us about 4 months, but this was like basically working nonstop for 4 months. We basically built everything from the ground up. It's all like, and it took like quite a lot of foresight. Okay, we have to set up the architecture in a way that long term is going to be really good and helpful, and we can build and manage it all. And I think we've done a good job.
Did you use OpenClaw or Cloud Code to build this, or is it?
Yeah, so like the core architecture is, I mean, the coding we did with Cloud Code, but the way it works, so it is like OpenClaw in sort of a server. We've added sort of custom configured it to get really good at dealing with businesses. by adding sort of just the Stripe integration and creating ads and all this ability. And at its core, it's OpenClaw, which is getting better progressively because there's like smart people working on OpenClaw. So as that gets better, our product gets better. And then as the models also get better, our product will also like get better and stuff. Yeah. At its basis and core, it will be used to an OpenClaw. And the benefit of that is there are smart people that are making that a lot better.
Yeah.
So over time, the product will just get better and better.
Oh, so you're just adjusting OpenClaw.
It would have been, if we say try to build our own OpenClaw, there'd be sort of two big problems. One, it would be quite a lot of time will take to build it. There was quite a lot of insight done by him. And realistically, we would sort of copy OpenClaw. And we wouldn't have been able to. And secondly, OpenClaw is going to get better and better because more people are working on it. And we would have had to then keep up ourselves. And that would have taken a lot of time. And this way, because it's open source, right? That's kind of the reason for OpenClaw, where everyone is able to use it.
And you mentioned that you want to build something that not everyone can build. And what's the technical barrier that other peoples can reach?
So when OpenClaw hit, many of you will know this sort of agentic structure. This is going to get a bit technical here. It was a lot of the common ideas around building around OpenClaw was to sort of sandbox. What that means is the main architectural bet we've made is what happens when you give these agents their own fully isolated container. What that means is they have a full computer to themselves. So currently, like, you might put OpenClaw on your computer, right? Yeah. But then it doesn't have access to everything because you have to give it permissions and stuff. Like, imagine it had its own computer where it has full access to its own files, its own everything, its own browser, its own ability to like browse something, and setting all of that up. And then like it ends up being, it was the right bet now. It's about 3 or 4 months of setting up, but it's like that makes a much more powerful agent than what a lot of other companies are doing right now. So a lot of other companies are sort of temporarily emulate an OpenClaw environment, so you can go in and act, but then after a while it shuts down. And ours is like you permanently 24/7 get like an isolated little your own machine, which your own agent can like run and control constantly. So it runs like 24/7.
Is it even when you shut your laptop?
Yeah,
it still goes on.
It's running on the cloud, so it runs on a server with its own little thing. So it has like no relevance to what you're doing. It will be running by itself no matter what. What that makes it really easy is. So we've sort of connected iMessage, so you talk to it a lot through iMessage and stuff. You can like ping it whenever you want, and it's really convenient. And it's just online and working in the background. So you can give it tasks which last like a day, and it will just keep up and deal with it. Yeah.
Okay, that's very impressive.
Yeah, it was quite a lot of architectural work over these past 3 and 4 months. I guess it was a moment, and we took the gamble, and it was I think will pay off.
How did you guys decide your business model? Because none of you have a finance background or business background. And I saw on your website, it's $99 per month, like the cheapest price. So it's quite expensive comparing to other similar platforms in China. And also when you started building this, there are other competitors, right? So what makes you like different compared to those competitors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. On the price front, I think the value is at a point where it's significant enough. If you're not willing to pay $100 for it, then you're not providing enough value. Like if the consumer does not feel that they get $100 worth of value, then yeah, they shouldn't be really using us. We give like a little bit of a free trial, I think, just to test it out for like a teeny bit. But pretty quickly, and actually what ends up happening was we're really surprising. Almost everybody upgrades really quickly. So they have the 100 thing, they burn through the credits in like 5 or 6 days, and then they pay us a lot more to have like a lot more token usage. Also, we are quite cheap because the core models, thanks to China's honestly open source efforts with the models have become like 50 times cheaper than when we started. With DeepSeek's release and Quen's release. So the users, for now, the $100 can get 50 times more usage and stuff. So it's really worth it from them. And then they don't have to set up any of this because setting this up all yourself is like kind of complicated. On the competitors front, I think we made some good bets at the start, which is letting us to be quite far ahead. One, this in a server idea. So a lot of places didn't make that bet earlier. The second front is, I guess we worked quite hard on the product currently. There will be some competitors, but honestly, I feel like our experience should be good enough where... So here's how generally I think one should also think about competitors. The market is so big here, such that AI for small businesses, it's actually okay even if there are 10 competitors or whatever. Like it's not, we don't really care that much about competitors because like one, the market's so big and we're looking at consumers. Our consumers are really happy, so we're just going to carry on growing in sort of this direction. We don't really care about who else is trying to do this as well because there's actually so much money or so much room for creation. Everyone can win here really big.
And about your startup, is there any money input, like financial input at the beginning?
I'm losing money.
Now?
Now I think we're in profit because I'm spending close to nothing. But at the start, I was losing money for quite a while. I've lost even with the consumer apps to get. This is why the bursar was really helpful because the college gave me like a few extra £1,000. And like for the first time in my life, I had like, okay, I can take like £2,000 or £3,000 and spend it in this startup direction. And I lost a reasonable amount of money in these attempts.
Is that a scholarship for your math degree, from your math degree?
No, I think the way Lincoln and Oxford work is if your family earn below an income, in this case it was 32,000. There is the person who's run Sequoia, a VC firm, and gave a whole bunch of money, like many millions, and then they give us like I think £6,000 a year on top of maintenance. That's actually quite a good amount. It's quite comfortable. Like you can spend pretty reasonably and live like a pretty good life. Yeah.
Oh, so you put that extra money into your startup?
Like a fair chunk of my extra money. I was just like, which was risky. I could have enjoyed it. I could have like spent it and stuff. And in first year I did. In first year, like the extra money I got, I spent, and it was really nice. For the first time in my life, I could like enjoy a lot of like relatively nice things. And the second year, I was like, let's go for it.
And so, how many money have you spent in total?
Currently,
Also including your own money.
it's all been my own money so far. I haven't actually spent any of that. So right now, I think maybe 10,000, maybe
10,000.
more. But because we've also been making money at the same time, so it kind of like evens it out. But maybe somewhere between like 10 to 20,000 pounds. Yeah. So I guess you hear about YC and stuff as like these good venture capitalist firms. We don't. Admittedly, when I was building this project, I didn't really care because I was like, I'm just gonna focus on product and getting money and distribution, and the better product I have, that stuff will come. And I will say though, if you're an Oxford student who's smart, I think what those firms like Y Combinator, it's a really good opportunity. I really think you should take it because you will fail. Like they'll give you the money and you'll fail at your startup almost certainly. But it's such a good. You have such a good. You're £500,000 or whatever, and you can take the year off and spend it in San Francisco or somewhere in America and work on your startup. I think it's really valuable. I think any sort of competent Oxford student, and you don't have to be technical anymore because with AI, you really should apply to YC. And if you can get in, it's just a good opportunity. You'll lose the money, but that's okay. They expect you to lose the money, and it's just a good opportunity. Like yeah. Otherwise, it's really hard to take the gamble.
Yeah, true. How many money have you got raised from YC?
Yeah, so it's like a base. Everyone gets the same amount. It's 500,000.
500,000. And how many VCs have you been applying to? Just YC.
Yeah,
and you got in.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think is the key to success of getting into YC?
Honestly, it doesn't matter that much. They don't really care that much. If you think that like your idea matters, not really. Here's roughly how the judgment works. They look at your founders. Are these two people, because you have to play with the co-founder, are they smart and technical and competent? Okay, if you're an Oxford student, you're pretty technical. Are you building relatively fast? Like, are you like doing something, like working on something? No VC knows what idea is going to make it successful or not. Yeah, so it's like, okay, is it like roughly, does the idea make sense? And if it makes sense, they'll give you, they should give you the money because it's such a good time for them. Such disruption is happening. Just invest in everything. From their perspective, like it's basically like you should invest in as much as you can. Yeah.
And how competitive is it?
To get into YC?
Yeah.
Apparently it's pretty competitive. I'd say it's competitive. I think there's only two teams from UK who went to YC this time.
Only two. How many applicants and how many get in?
I know the acceptance rate is about 1%, maybe 2%, something like that. So like 20,000 applications maybe get in and maybe 100 get in, something like that. Actually, India's doing quite well. There are a fair few Indian teams, but most of them are American just because their culture is set up such that they've done more work towards this direction. But I give it a shot. Honestly, if you're in any good university, halfway okay, I really would give it a shot.
So education is important.
Yeah, because at this stage, because realistically you have an idea, it's just an idea. Yeah, nobody knows it's going to work. The only thing you can really gamble on is, are the founders competent? So education at least conveys that, okay, these people are smart. They can sort of figure it out probably.
So you have to spend a lot of time working on this project. At the same time, you have to work on the really intense Oxford like assignments, works. Yeah. And what gives you the encouragement and enthusiastic into working on this?
It's actually been really hard. I'll be honest this year. Like there were a lot of moments where it's just really lonely. Like you're working all day. You don't have any time to see your friends. Everyone's having so much fun.
Yeah. And
then you work and then you wake up and then it's just back to work. And to do that for months on end, it's like, it gets pretty demoralizing, I guess. One, for the first time in my life with startups, I can work all night, and I don't feel it sort of as a burden or a drain. When I do maths, it's kind of hard. I can't do more than 6 hours of maths in a day. I just can't study more than that, like feasibly. Like I won't get anything else in my brain. So that's also the first time like I can work all day and I feel perfectly fine. Like I really enjoy what I'm working on here. It's like, really fun. That helped. And there's just a little bit of delusion, like a large amount of just believing that like if other people are doing this, why can't I? And like let's just go for it. And it's seemingly working out okay. So yeah.
And maybe the audience doesn't know how Oxford Maths, how intense it is. Maybe let's quantify it. How many exams have you got? How many assignments per week?
Yeah, so we have 9 exams, which the other students are currently sort of really preparing for. I can give you the rough week structure. These are, per term, we have about 5 or 6 courses. And each course will have a problem sheet, which you hand in every 2 weeks. The problem sheet will take you, I think, maybe 20 hours, like each problem sheet. Wow. And there's like 5 or something to hand in like per week. It's basically like you do not have a life. If you're doing Oxford Maths, like I know I'm complaining about socializing. The other students don't get to socialize either. They have to spend all their time in the library revising. That actually kind of helped, because with this startup, it's like, it's not like I get to have fun anyways. Yeah. Like if I'm not working on my startup, I'm going to have to like really focus on my degree. So I may as well like spend my time doing this. But yeah, it's quite intense. I think it's, people really underestimate. And I think it's just dumb. Honestly, the degree doesn't need to be this intense. Like, yeah, I wish honestly they cut the amount of content in by half. Because then the students get to pursue other things. They get to do these projects. They get to apply to internships. It's fascinating. LSE students are far better at applying for internships and getting good jobs. I agree. Because they just focus on that. Like their entire like culture and stuff is to focus on that. And they end up doing better. They end up getting like the better jobs and stuff. They're not smart enough to get into quant jobs, which is like the only sort of place Oxford students maybe do better. But like finance jobs, the LSE students will probably do better. And on average, I think they make a greater income. Yeah. It's so sad that Oxford degree is so intense that these students don't have the time to apply for internships and stuff. And that matters more. Like those internships are more valuable to your career than any of the thing you learn in a degree. And it's just really saddening that they just don't know.
Yeah, I think they just want us to get into PhD or something.
Yeah, the entire degree is really structured around research. Like, if you're going to be a researcher in maths, and this is excluding the whole AI is changing everything, just like then it makes sense to this degree. But what, maybe 1 or 2 students of the entire maths cohort and across the university are going to actually go on to be a researcher. So everybody else gets put in a really bad position just to make up for these 1 or 2 students. I think it's dumb. But Oxford is not going to change. It's been around forever and they don't really like changing.
Yeah. And so you're very enthusiastic about working on the project and also doing the Oxford at the same time. So do you consider yourself as this kind of person all the time when you grew up, or is it just when the thing that interests you that you want to spend a lot of effort on it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, partly true. Like I never at a moment in my life have I ever been like
this hardworking.
That's true. That's true. This has definitely been the hardest I've ever worked. But it's never been like, I've always been relatively pretty self-confident that, if you set your mind to generally achieve things, you do usually get that. And so far that's turned out pretty correct. Like every sort of minor achievement that I've set out for, I have roughly achieved. It also takes it's really sad. People don't have as much arrogance as I think. And I think arrogance is surprisingly really useful. Like I am far more arrogant than I deserve to probably be. Like I'm not probably as smart as I as much as I am arrogant. It's going down. Like the better I get, the less arrogant. But at least I think it's really helpful in the moments when you haven't achieved stuff to just be like, of course I'm going to do this. Like there's no reason why I can't do this. Like if other people are doing this, I'm definitely smart enough to do it. I'm probably smart, in my own opinion, I'm smarter than they are. And like I should be able to work harder. And you just have to keep doing that until it succeeds. But
so
I think
belief is really important.
I think belief is really helpful. Another sort of big thing is my mother really does believe in me and I think actually it plays a pretty big role. If you talk to most students, their parents are not that, but they don't believe that much in their children. Like even though they actually set really high expectations to get into like Oxford and stuff, they don't put that much belief into the things like, wow, you are really special or whatever. Yeah. But ever since I was like really young, like my mother's like, you are very special. Like, you should go on and like do great in the world. And I think that's really helped. Like I just have so much more self-confidence than other people do. And like parents should really push their kids, like at least believe in their kids more than they do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And what would you say is your top 3 worst moments from building the startup?
Top 3 worst moments? Let me think.
And also best moments.
Yeah. The worst moments are, it's been quite lonely, I'd say, over this year. Like, you really don't have much time to do other things, like socializing and getting to know people. So I had to tell myself, because when I came in first year, I was like, oh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to socialize a little bit and I'll work on my project and I'll do my degree. Yeah, you're not going to work on your project because your degree takes up your time and the rest of the time you spend socializing. You have to really go all in a way.
Yeah.
You have to just be like, I have to cut out.
You can only get
all,
2.
Yeah.
Not 3.
Yeah. Like I had to cut out all socializing this year, and it's really hard to do. And I feel like because then basically you ostracize yourself in front, not ostracize, but you have to tell them like I'm not hanging out. Like you have to say like reject people quite a lot initially because they're like, oh, come hang out and stuff. And it's just constant having to have the I'm not going to do this. I'd rather focus on that. That's really hard. And second, I mean, you obviously believe in myself a lot, and thankfully I'm working with my brother, and we support each other, right? But nobody believes in you here. Like now, maybe they're starting to believe a bit more with like revenue and stuff. But when you start out, people don't really believe you. They're like, okay, you're going to try and stuff. The culture is so bad. It's so much more like, you're probably going to fail. It's such a more put down culture than the Americans are like. Americans believe in you. Like if you tell them like, oh yeah, absolutely, you're probably going to go do it. Hey, people, that's hard. So you have to really like to have the amount of self belief in yourself to really commit and fully, where you're almost certainly going to fail. It's all quite hard. That's been quite hard. What's the best moments?
Is it when you start to get profit?
Yeah, making money is quite cool. You guys think social media addiction is bad? Oh, you have no idea. Stripe and like the revenue addiction, every morning I was like refresh. Like I haven't made my money. It's so much worse than like any social media addiction. But it was, at least at the start, I was like, oh wow, I built something which people are willing to pay. I think the first idea which made money was there's this IRS tax form called Form 5472, whatever. It's for foreign companies who have some ownership in the US. They have to file. So anyways, I made a platform where it was really easy to do that. And people started paying me, like 3 people. But they paid me like £50 or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, people are paying me for something I made. This is so cool. And then that's quite cool, I'd say. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
So saying about this, if at the end you failed about this or the business model doesn't work, what will you think about startup idea? Will you do another startup again in the future, or you will go into corporate?
Depends how much. Yeah. So even if this fails completely and I run out of all my money and I'm basically bankrupt, I will probably get a job temporarily to get some more money, and then I'll just try again.
You'll try again.
It's such a good opportunity in history. Like it's sort of like, imagine if you could go back in time right now where the internet was just coming about, and like you would obviously try build like a company, right? Like you'd have like an idea. It's sort of like that. Like imagine like the birth of the internet is sort of happening with AI. It's actually probably much more significant than the birth of AI internet. And it's like, I'm just going to keep trying. Like eventually something should work.